Welcome to the first ever What Happens in the Kitchen Stays in the Kitchen, and today we're making bread, I think. And a lot of people are gonna be mad at me about the way I do this, but I don't measure anything. And I have stories about that in the future. For the time being, we're gonna go making bread. I think it usually comes out as bread, but once it did not. And I have pictures and stories about that one too. Now, firstly, I don't measure anything, but I have a measuring cup because you still need a vessel of some kind. I'm also out of milk, so we're gonna be doing about half water on this one. Again, it's fine, because it always turns out about the same. So I do 2 loaves of bread at the same time, so we're gonna be doing, I actually don't know, about 3 cups. About 3 cups-ish. Is there 3 cups in here? Well, there might be actually. Son of a bitch. Not quite. We're gonna substitute some water. That's normal. Happens in every professional bakery. Sometimes just put some water in the milk. It's fine. If we figure out where that is. Okay, now for yeast reasons, you put it in the microwave. Don't ask why. Okay, you just do it. Do it for a minute and a half. Give or take a minute. And then you wait. But while you're waiting, you also do the other things that you have to do for bread. I do margarine. Some people do oil or butter, or maybe people don't do that at all. I don't know. I'm not following a recipe. We just throw things in there. That's fine. While that thing gets irradiated, I have no tablespoons, so we're going to be using a teaspoon. But usually I do like 4 tablespoons for 2 loaves of bread. So basically just a massive heap. You can't see what I'm doing, that's fine. You don't need to. It's a massive heap of butter. Again, no recipe, you just throw things in there. People are always surprised when it turns out as actual bread instead of just a hump. But it's fine, it turns out as something, you know? And I can torment my girlfriend by making her eat it, so it's a plus side to everything. That looks like enough margarine. Probably plug up at least a couple arteries with that. That should be almost done now. Well, not quite. Next, the most important ingredient, obviously, is yeast of some kind. I use fast rising because I'm lazy and I don't like waiting, but you can use any kind of yeast. Alive yeast, dead yeast. No, you can't use dead yeast, that won't work. But you do, I don't know, like 1, 2, maybe 3, or maybe 6, or 5. Yeah, that should be fine, I think. Now, that's gross. And that's almost done. I don't like when it beeps, so we're going to stop that. You're going to pour this into your thing. And by the way, if you don't have a stand mixer, that's fine. You don't need a stand mixer. You can mix it by hand like a plebeian. It's okay. You just pour that in there. Make a mess everywhere. It's really just whatever you prefer. Next up is, cover this. And I'll still have to pick that up later, so I don't know why I did that. Sugar. It helps with something. So you just take a handful, really. That's what I do. You just take a handful. It's not science. Nextly is flour, one of the main ingredients in bread, I believe, besides air, which you should have a lot of because the yeast, if it's not dead. Take your flour. By the way, I'm filming with a phone and it's sitting on a water cooler, so if it's a little bit wobbly, it's not my fault, it's the phone's fault. Bread has lots of this ingredient, so we're going to do something. About 6 cups, so this is about 5. And we're going to do about 1 more, in around there. I think I can't see the cup thing because it's blocked, but that's about correct. I'm blocking myself, I apologize. Also, if you don't have a stand mixer, buy one of these, a bench scraper. It really helps when you're kneading the dough. Scrape it up so it's not getting stuck everywhere. It really helps. Next thing is we clean up some of that. Is the stand mixer. You don't have to. I don't know why I use this one. There's actually a real dough hook that I have. One of these ones. I don't know. I don't like using it. I don't know why. It doesn't really do the job right. You just, yeah. Plug. Nope, son of a bitch. There you go. Plug it in like that. You know, like a professional. Yep. Plug that thing in. Drop that down, and you turn it on. Making a mess. Can I wait? So we'll turn in, a couple minutes, maybe 6 or 10. Whenever it's done. Yeah, we'll wait until it's bread. We'll be back in a minute. Alright, your stand mixer's been doing hard work for a long time now, so you give it a break. Also, by the way, this just fell off the counter. Like actually just like right before I pressed play or record or whatever, it just right off the counter. So it should be fine. You're gonna take your, Jesus Christ, that is very sticky. Okay. It helps if your hands are wet when you're working with dough so it doesn't go sticky. get a little bit moist, and you're just gonna take all your dough off your hook, whatever kind of hook you're using. Or if you're not using a stand mixer, then you don't have to do this step because it's just another thing you have to do. You can get it all off your hook. Get it all off. Apologize to your stand mixer for dropping on the floor. Of course, sorry. Very good employee. Okay, next, you're gonna bowl, put it in it. You're gonna put some oil in it, just a little bit, not too much. Don't make it super oily. Just gonna, you know, a little bit of oil. It helps not stick to the sides when it's rising, and also if you cover the whole thing in oil, it helps it from getting a crust on the top from air or something. So okay, all this comes out into there. And now the majority of bread making actually is waiting. So if I want to do live streams of baking bread, but most of that's just nothing. So I'm going to make a ball out of my bread or my dough. Just gonna make a ball, put a mac in there, and give it a thorough oiling. And I use olive oil, but you can use whatever you want, really. Okay, now it's in there, and you let it rise for an hour or so, whatever really you want though. It could be an hour, it could be 30 minutes if you want a brick, or 2 hours if you really just want a cloud. So really up to you. Let it rise for a little bit. I didn't wash my hands because they're oily and gross. A thing I forgot to mention is you're gonna want to cover this. You're not gonna leave it like this, even though there is oil all over it. You're gonna want to put saran wrap or whatever, cling film. Is that like a different thing, or is it just different names for different places? Or what I do, because you're not going to use that one actually because I'm 30. Take like a tea towel or whatever. Is this a tea towel? I don't know what this is. You just want to take this and want to get a little bit moist. It helps something. I think. Get it generously moist and just cover the top, and then come back in an hour. Even though I got absolutely no water on where I wanted to, that's fine. It's the thought that counts, really. You just leave it here for an hour now, and when you return, it should be twice the size. I think is the standard, and then we will get to the next step once we get to it in an hour. Alrighty, it's been an hour or 30 minutes, depending on the kind of bread you want. If you really want a brick, you just don't have to let it rise at all. So maybe it's just been 5 minutes for you. Anyways, so you have your stuff, spill that out. Now, because I make 2 loaves, I'm gonna have to section this in half. And the easiest way to do that is to do that with a mesh scraper, actually. So we're gonna start off with nothing scientific, nothing technical. Just gonna take it and cut it roughly in half. Like that. There are 2 halves. And you take this, and you're going to smush it out into a rectangle-like shape. Now you might be wondering, why did I do this? I'm making bread, not pizza. Well, shut up. That's why. There's a reason. I'm going to take 1 half and stretch it over, fold it over itself. Take the other half, do the same thing. Makes a shape. You can't tell what I'm doing, it's fine. It's really, if you want to watch someone do this properly, then don't watch me, because that is not what I do. Then you're going to take this, and you're going to roll it up, and you're going to build up tension while you do it, pushing it in with your thumb as you go. By the end, you have a little log, like this. You can't see, perfect, little log. Doesn't look beautiful, it's fine. And then also, you want something sharp, knife or whatever, you're going to cut the top, make a slit, and then make a slit, and make a couple of those. This goes in here, just like that, and then you let it rise for another hour. I'm just going to do the same thing with this one. You don't need to see that because you already seen what I did here. So you let it rise for an hour, put it under a towel again or whatever, cloth, and then I'll show you the next step when we get to it. Okay, now your loaves look dummy thick, obviously. See, as you can see, dummy thick looking loaves. They're obviously not even because you don't measure anything or weigh anything, so that's fine. I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to do one with an egg wash and one with just butter on top of it. I've never done that before, so I'm going to try it. It's probably going to turn out amazing, obviously. So we need 2 things, or 1, depending on how you want to do it. Got a cup, got a bowl. You can't see what I'm doing, that's fine. We're just going to push those aside. Got a bowl, got an egg. Put the egg in the bowl. Make sure you get as many eggshells in there as possible. Really adds the crunch. Really want that flavor. And like I said before, I have no milk in it, so usually we use a little bit of milk in there too, but seems like an unnecessary step if you're asking me. We're just gonna, you know, sufficiently whip. Seems whipped. Okay, then we're gonna do butter or margarine. It's good to get raw egg in your margarine. We're actually not gonna do that. That's a horrible idea. It's a dirty knife. That should work. A little bit, not too much. Just like a healthy amount. We're just gonna put that in a cup. That should be fine. Put that in the microwave because I do like the microwave. The mic. Okay, your next step is you're gonna go grab something you shouldn't use to baste these. It's not basting, it's like painting, you know. You're gonna find one of your girlfriend's makeup brushes or paintbrush, whatever this is, because you don't actually have the appropriate things for doing this. And then you're just gonna wash it to get any residue of whatever the fuck they use these for off. And now your butter is melting and floating everywhere, so you're gonna take that out. It's also very hot. And you're just gonna, we all in frame here? Perfect. Now you're just gonna take your appropriate tool, because that's what this is, and you're just gonna, you know, a little bit of lathering, maybe a little bit of pouring, not too much, like a little bit, and maybe a little bit of painting, a little bit of dripping off onto the counter, that's fine. That's what you get paid for, actually. You know, just sufficiently cover everything. And I'm not sure if this actually does anything. But I'm sure that it'll at least annoy someone that I'm using a makeup brush to do this. And that's really what life's all about. You want to annoy as many people as humanly possible before you keel over and die. And ideally, even the way you die will annoy people. So, yes. That looks good. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention, you're also want your oven to be hot. So, I've been doing 390 recently, but I'm sure any temperature would work. 390. Oh, and I can't forget to mention one of the more important things is you're going to want to have, I just have to show you really, because you have to experience it, I think. You're going to want like a really rusty, old metal container and fill it with water. And because I don't have steam injection on my oven, because I'm poor, you're going to want to do that yourself just by putting water in here and let it steam up. So it helps with the bread. In there until the oven's preheated. Usually by then it's steaming, so then it's fine. So I'm just going to do the same step with my egg and my appropriate utensil with this piece of bread, and then I'll throw it in the oven for 45 minutes once it's preheated, obviously, and then I'll show you what it looks like, and then in an hour, once they're cool, I will cut them, and I'll show you what the crumb looks like on the inside. Now it's done. It should look both anemic and gross, so you'll just take it, and this is actually still very hot, you'll put it on a drying rack or a cooling rack. It's for cooling. Just without causing too much damage. Set it there, let it dry for, yeah, you're gonna let it dry. You're gonna let it cool off for about an hour. Do it for both, obviously. Oh, and it's supposed to come out. Aha. They look different because remember one was egg. I think that's this one. And the one was butter, which does absolutely nothing. So you're gonna skip the butter because that does nothing. But the egg makes it look different. Anyways, let it cool for an hour, and then we'll do the cutting because that's something we do. So now after your 3 hours of hard work, you should have bread that looks kind of like this, and it's super soft, and it tastes amazing. I wrecked this piece. That's okay. And for cutting it and not completely destroying it, step aside. Step aside. To not completely destroy it when you cut it, use a bread knife. You should have bigger teeth than this, but mine are teeny. That's fine. Again, we use all the wrong equipment for all the right reasons. Now, I had to look up how to cut bread because, well, you know, 2 IQ. But the technique is to just do it. So you just, you know, long strokes apparently is what you're supposed to do. I don't know why they want you to do that, but anyway, they both turned out the same on the inside. See that? Nice and loose-ish, kind of. Anyways, that's the conclusion of this. Thank you for doing stuff.